Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you know, this is the month of Muharram. It's a month where we remember the tragedy of Karbala and the tragedy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It's a month where we remember the true heroes that we should be looking up to. The heroes who gave up everything for the sake of reviving and protecting the religion of Islam from the evil intentions of Yazid and his followers. Today, we'll be looking at a very special hero, and his name is Muslim ibn Aqil. And as you might know from our previous talks, Muslim ibn Aqil was very close to Imam Hussein alayhi salam because he was his special cousin, in that his father Aqil was Imam Ali's brother, but also because he was his loyal follower and supporter, and he believed in the mission of Imam Hussein. And in this story, we'll be learning a lot about Muslim ibn Aqil's loyalty, integrity, and never giving up on the sake of Islam. So to actually start his story, we might start off with a recap of what we covered about the journey of Karbala, so that we are on the same page and we know where Muslim ibn Aqil fit in with the rest of the story of Karbala. And to do that, we have an activity for you. And in this activity, we will be going through all of the places where Imam Hussein alayhi salam went to and where he started his journey until ultimately he came to Karbala. So I have these boxes in red and I'll be going through them one by one, and then if you can write your answers back in terms of a comment of where Imam Hussein was at each step in his journey, then I know that you know where he was. So to start off, where did Imam Hussein live at the start of the journey? So where did Imam Hussein live, and then people like Walid and Marwan came to ask his allegiance to Yazid? Where was he living at that time? He was living in Medina, the city of Medina Munawwara. And then after that, he left to which city? And that city, the clue is that it's very close to the city of Medina. And this is where he converted his Hajj into an Umrah Tamattu so that he could avoid bloodshed in this holy city. And this city is the city of Makkah al-Mukarramah. Makkah was where he was. And then after that, in this city, he found that there is a lot of support from a city where there's a lot of people who support the Imam and his mission. And what is that city? This is the city of Kufa. And the story of Muslim ibn Aqil is actually centered in the story in the city of Kufa as well. So we'll be talking a lot about Kufa and the city now. And lastly, after Hor's army stopped Imam Hussein from going into Kufa, Imam ultimately went to which city? The city of, or at that time it wasn't a city, but it was the land of Karbala. So thank you all. It looks like we can continue on to the story of Muslim ibn Aqil. And the story goes, and you're already aware that when Imam alayhi salam was in Makkah, he received a lot of letters from the people of Kufa at that time, inviting him to come to Kufa and to see all of the supporters, the hundreds and thousands of people who support the Imam and are on his side to stand up against Yazid. And they wrote letters to him, the people of Kufa, and these letters came from prominent leaders of Kufa, they came from the normal people of Kufa, and they were saying that they've got an army ready for him, in that, this Yazid, this evil man, we want to stand up against him. And if you remember, Kufa was actually the capital of Imam Ali as well. So all of these people, they knew Imam Hussein, because Imam Hussein lived there when his father was, Imam Ali alayhi salam, was the leader of all Muslims. And this is where Imam Ali used to give food to orphans and help the needy, and treat everyone equally, justly, and with mercy. So they all knew him. So they were very ready to support Imam alayhi salam in his mission. Their hearts were very warm for Imam and his family. And they, and after receiving so many messages and petitions, Imam alayhi salam responded by acknowledging their invitation and telling him that he was sending his cousin, Muslim ibn Aqil, to investigate the situation. And Muslim was someone who was not like any normal supporter of Imam Hussein. He was one of his closest, but he was a faithful, he was very courageous. He knew that sending Muslim ibn Aqil was important because he was of his courage and his faith. And Imam alayhi salam trusted him very accurately to judge the situation over there. And Imam alayhi salam wanted to make sure the people of Kufa were actually very serious about, their dedication to him. And he told Muslim that if he found the situation as they had said it to him, he would join them. So Muslim ibn Aqil went to Kufa. And when he went to Kufa, he was staying at a couple of companions of Imam Ali's house. One of them, his name is Mukhtar, the other name is Hani ibn Urwa, and he was staying at their houses. And when he was staying at their house, he was receiving the people who came to pledge their support and to pledge their allegiance to the Imam, saying that they will support him. And there were so many people in Kufa that were ready to support Imam alayhi salam. Muslim ibn Aqil got about 18,000 people supporting and giving allegiance to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So Muslim became so satisfied that the people of Kufa want to support Imam Hussein, that he wrote a letter to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, inviting him, telling him that the support that you have is actually very genuine. So please come to Kufa and they will support you. Of course, Imam alayhi salam didn't need, Kufa's support to stand up against the oppressor, but he acknowledged their support, and as a result, he joined them to combine their efforts and to gather everyone in this cause of stopping the oppressor Yazid. So the situation changed really rapidly, because initially when Muslim ibn Aqil was there was this governor, and governor means someone who rules on a place. So in Kufa, the governor was Nu'man ibn Rashid. He was one of the companions of Rasulullah. And he was not very aggressive towards Muslim ibn Aqil. He knew that from hearing about it. Obviously, Muslim ibn Aqil wasn't going out in open that he was pledging, support, but he knew that there was a lot of support for Muslim ibn Aqil, for Imam Hussein, but he wasn't too aggressive about stopping them supporting Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And because of that, there were these staunch followers of Yazid who really didn't like what was happening. And they basically complained to Yazid and said, this lenient man is just allowing Muslim ibn Aqil, to, get people loving Imam Hussein and his cause. So they wanted to put a stop to it. So when they complained, Yazid found someone who was completely an aggressive person, who was a tyrant. He used to be the ruler of Basra, which is a nearby city in Iraq, and Kufa was another city in Iraq. And he was known for his tyranny, and he was known for all of his oppression, and he replaced Nu'man, who was the governor there, with Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, who was the governor of Kufa. And Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad is one of the tyrants that we curse whenever we do Ziyarat Ashura, because of his evil nature. So with Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, not only was he a tyrant, but he was very effective at scaring the people of Kufa into not supporting Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And how did he do that? Well, the first thing that he did was when he came to the city of Kufa from Basra, when he was appointed the governor, then he didn't enter like Yazid's people. So Yazid has its own kingdom, and they would dress up in a way. He actually dressed like how Imam Hussein would. So this is one of those pictures that I've taken from this film series called Mukhtar Nama, and it shows how Imam Hussein might have dressed in green or something, but they were wearing niqabs, so they were wearing these veils, so they couldn't see the faces. But obviously all of the people of Kufa saw that these people on horses are coming in dress that they would normally expect Imam Hussein to come in. And as you know, Muslim had already written a letter to Imam Hussein to come. They actually thought it was Imam Hussein coming in, but it was actually this evil guy, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. He came, and when he came, he took off his veil, and they realized that it's actually Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. The whole city got scared. So all of these people who were, welcoming this entourage that were coming in realized that it's not actually Imam Hussein, it's his enemy who's coming in. And from that time, he knew now, all of his spies knew who the supporters of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was. And the first thing he did was he threatened to cut off any money to those who followed Muslim ibn Aqil. And he told them that if you abandon Muslim ibn Aqil, then you would not be punished. But if you had not, then this punishment would be very, very severe. So with these scare tactics, the Kufans, they abandoned Muslim slowly and slowly, almost to a time where he had no supporters. He only had a handful of supporters, and those handful of supporters, like Mukhtar, some of them like Mukhtar and others, they had already tried to join Imam alayhi salam, because that's what eventually the Imam wanted, and others they did not support Muslim ibn Aqil because they were very scared of the oppressive rule of Yazid through Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. And the story goes that by the 8th of Zilhajj, which is the evening of Arafah, Muslim ibn Aqil had almost no supporters. Everyone was so scared of supporting Muslim ibn Aqil. And Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, he did it very cleverly. What he did was he told everyone that, through his spies, that Imam Hussein might be right, but Yazid and Ubaidullah, they're such tyrants that there's no point standing up against them. And through this, you had sincere people in Kufa slowly just give up their hope on him. And Muslim ibn Aqil just became very alone at that point. So that is how Muslim ibn Aqil sort of came to the Kufa with a lot of support, and eventually that support dwindled into very, very, very small kind of support for him. So on the 8th of Zilhajjah, the night of Arafah, he was very deserted in the street of Kufa. He left all of his companions. He didn't tell them where he was because he wanted them to be safe. And he wanted, because one of his companions, Hani ibn Urwa, the one who was hosting him, was also captured, and it was found out that he was keeping Muslim with him, and then later martyred by Hani ibn Urwa, by Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. So he left and he tried to hide. But when he was there, obviously he was a stranger in the city. He was from Medina, and now he was all the way in Kufa with nothing. He was there, hungry, he was tired, he was thirsty, and out of his tiredness, he eventually sat on this doorstep of a house in a street. And the lady noticed that this man is sitting there and asked him who he was. And he said, he's Muslim ibn Aqil from Bani Hashim, the family of the Prophet. And she was a very kind lady. She loved the family of the Prophet. So she let him in and offered him food and water. But she was a kind woman, and her son wasn't. And her son was greedy about all the money that Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad offered to capture Muslim ibn Aqil. Her son betrayed her secret, and then Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad knew who he was. Muslim ibn Aqil, he fought the soldiers of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad valiantly. He was just alone, but he took out almost everyone who came. The only way they could capture Muslim ibn Aqil was through setting a trap, where he fell down in that trap and eventually captured him, and then took him to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. And then eventually he tried to ask Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, please tell Imam Hussein, don't come here, there is no support. But Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad didn't listen to him. And as such, he was martyred. But in all of the story, what we learn is that he never tried to escape, and he never tried to back down on the message of Imam Hussein. Whether he had one follower, 18,000 followers, or no followers, Muslim ibn Aqil, Hani ibn Urwa, these two, they never left Imam Hussein. These people became loyal and knew how important it was to save Islam against Yazid and Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. They weren't tempted by money or by other ways that Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad was scaring them. So that is the story of Muslim ibn Aqil, and we learn through him a lot of things. We learn that if there's anything that comes in life, if we face any adversity, if we are the only ones doing the right thing, we should continue to do the right thing if we believe in it, if it's the right thing to do. So at school, for example, or if you're going camping with friends and you're the only one who's praying, don't feel embarrassed, because you're doing the right thing and you should pray at that time. Or if you're, for example, if you are at school and people are doing bad things, if you're the only one doing the right thing, then stick to doing it. Don't get influenced by everyone, even if there's people that will scare you by saying that you will not have any friends or anything. But if you're doing the right thing, you stay on that path. So that is what the message of Muslim ibn Aqil was. And then for our living Imam, we should be always dedicated to him and always willing to be loyal to him and his cause. So that is the story of Muslim ibn Aqil, and I'd like to go to the next section, which is an activity on Muslim ibn Aqil. And so we'll go to that activity now. And what this is, it's a matching activity. So all of the figures that are there, we'll just go through them. Now we have a character on the left, or the person on the left, and we have who they were in terms of what their relationship was in the story of Karbala. So Muslim ibn Aqil, do you guys know who he was? Is he governor? Who was he? He was the representative and cousin of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So for those of you who got it right, well done. The next one is Hani ibn Urwa. He was the follower of Imam Hussein, and also he was the host of Muslim ibn Aqil as well. Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. Who was he? Was he Yazid's governor in Kufa or Yazid's governor in Medina? He was Yazid's governor in Kufa. Excellent. And that liaised with Walid ibn Utbah, and we covered that in the previous story, that he was the one who came to Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Medina, and therefore he was the governor in Medina, and he had another evil supporter with him called Marwan ibn Hakam, who was his advisor as well. So we learned through the last story what was there. So that is the story of Muslim ibn Aqil. But before we just finish off, I just wanted to go through this mosque, this masjid with you, because it's something that's very dear to us, and it's something that will allow you to sort of physically remember when you're doing ziyarat of Muslim ibn Aqil, allow you to visualize the masjid where he's currently buried in. So this is Masjid al-Kufa, and Masjid al-Kufa is in the city of Kufa, and so it's a very, very interesting place because there's so many holy personalities here. So as you know, Masjid al-Kufa was where Imam Ali was martyred. The sword on his head was struck here, and roughly in that place where that arrow is pointing to. And then we have Muslim ibn Aqil also, buried there, and he is around this place over here. Also, his companion Hani ibn Urwa was over here as well. And you have Imam Ali's house. So when Imam Ali used to live there, there's this green or blue dome, which is very small, where you can see where Imam Ali's house was. And the place where Muslim ibn Aqil was martyred was a place by the name of Dar al-Imara. So this is the tower where he was martyred in. And at that point, you can just see the ruins. So while Muslim ibn Aqil's shrine is full of visitors, Dar al-Imara is this empty, barren land. And that tells you about how Allah rewards the good believers after their life. And then Hani ibn Urwa, his shrine is over here. And there's a lot of very interesting places in Masjid al-Kufa that would be very interesting for you guys to know. But when you're remembering Muslim ibn Aqil, Hani ibn Urwa, and Imam Ali alayhi salam, remember this masjid, and inshallah we all have the opportunity to visit this masjid. And with that, that concludes our talk today. And inshallah we learned a lot through this one, and we remember Muslim ibn Aqil through our actions and through staying loyal to our Imam, the current Imam, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. And with that, I will leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.